Welcome back to the 27. As most of you know, the May content update, including the Racin USA DLC, has been delayed for a few days. The ETA is now June 4th. The update is pretty massive, and I'm not going to say this was expected or not, but I will say that I trust Rise's judgment in this regard. We all are jonesing for this thing, so hashtag just a few more days. But we're going to be going over the May development update. Hot off the press on June 1st, as we always do. I'm going to read and make comments. Feel free to set the phone down or minimize the browser. Before we get into it, this weekend's preview video was an overwhelming success for this channel, and I wanted to thank all of you for the positive support and enthusiasm. Mike from Sim Racing 604 released an awesome preview as well, and some other channels are showing flashes of Racin USA content now. So if you're starving for info or visuals or just want to sit and listen to the cars when you close your eyes at night, just Google search AMS2 DLC or AMS2 Racin USA. Oh, at the end of the video I'll be announcing the winner of the DLC giveaway too, so stay tuned. But for now, let's get into it. So here we are at the Risa Studios forums and at the May 2021 development update posted by Renato Simeoni on June 1st. So let's get right to it. Greetings everyone. We hope you all are doing well and staying safe as we continue to go through what hopefully will turn out to be the final months of this terrible ordeal that has been the COVID pandemic. Oh my gosh. As with most people, the pandemic now has hit close to home, and two of our lead devs have struggled through it in recent weeks, luckily with no serious consequences. Thank goodness. It's touched everybody, and I know a lot of people are still waiting for that vaccine out there, but it's coming soon. This obviously has an impact and slowed some of our progress, but not stopped it. On the contrary, in fact, as we continue to gear up to our biggest release yet, it has, however, contributed to a small change of plans as we are still working on the final details of this update, which is now scheduled to be deployed on Friday, June 4th, along with Part 1 of the Racin USA expansion pack. A few extra days then to ensure we have all elements of a truly massive update firing on all cylinders from the get-go. Continuing, often in these development updates, I'll refer to the fact that as much as we might want to break the progress of the game into tiny, even monthly updates, development often doesn't work that way. Sometimes things don't work out on schedule and we end up with a somewhat meager step. In others, everything comes together and falls into place even beyond our plans, and you end up with a minor revolution, which I think is this update, to be honest. Luckily, the upcoming version 1.2 is on the latter bracket. Okay, great. Bringing truly substantive improvements to every front of the game, along with major new features, some of which never seen in racing sims before. We are very excited about it and hope you all agree on the significance of this milestone once you come to try it. Yes, I know. I had just a taste of it, and my gosh, he's right. Anyway, moving on. Since we still have a few more days to go, let's take the opportunity to go over some of the highlights of the update. Oh my God, look at that. The Corvette. Oh goodness, that looks beautiful. Racin USA Part 1 and BMW M4 GT4, guys. Starting with the much anticipated Automobilista 2 V1.2 marks our entry into the North American territory in grand style with the Racin USA expansion pack Part 1 featuring 3 premium racetracks, Daytona, Long Beach, and Laguna Seca, and 3 GTE cars, the BMW M8, Corvette C8R, and Porsche 911 RSR. The new content currently in beta has been nicely previewed by Sim Racing 604, and that's an excellent preview. I suggest you go watch it. Also featuring in the pack, but missing from this video, is the Cadillac DPI VR, which arrives as for now the sole contender in the DPI class. I don't mind for now. I just want to get good at this one first, and then the other ones I can wait for, but let's get good at the Caddy first. The new content is not all about the expansion pack. What? AMS2 1.2 also features a neat free surprise in the form of the BMW M4, which arrives to boost the GT4 class with a fresh contender. Can you say OP? I hope so. Real weather, customizable date, and live track presets. Okay, let's get into the nitty gritty. One of the highlights of the new update is a first in sim racing. The ultra advanced weather system of the Madness engine, along with live track technology used in Automobilista 2, is now hooked up with a live weather forecast system, providing accurate weather conditions for all tracks in the game for today, tomorrow, and any given day over the last 40 years, allowing users to travel back in time and even peek into future conditions for any given locale in Automobilista 2. Okay, so this has some major implications. The forward-looking would be for, league organizers. They can say, hey, we're going to be doing real-life weather, and they're going to set the game, and it's going to produce the weather that is on that day in that location. This also has implications for single-player purposes. If you wanted to set up a custom championship mode with F1 in, say, 1994, you'll get the race conditions that those cars in real life had on those dates. That is simply amazing. Okay, moving forward. As of this version, real weather will still have some limitations. The system sets the conditions based on weather data in 1-hour slots, which means localized showers may not happen exactly as it does or did in certain places, or not at the exact time. That's fine. That's just fine. Other simplifications include not yet offering the option of snow on the track itself. Like I said before, I'm not looking forward to that option. And environment temperatures, wind, and humidity are still being picked up from the internal seasonal data for each region and season rather than from the real external data. Okay, the data is also not universally accurate, with some locations having some discrepancies, especially when going decades back. That's understandable. Further developments and fine-tuning of the system will continue beyond this release, and the database will be amended as we gather more information about any discrepancy, eventually resulting in far more accurate results. This is a massive step in sim racing. Just the fact that they're exploring this territory is impressive. The fact that they're also going to have to tweak it and do more work to it in the future to make it even better, fully anticipated, fully expected. Moving forward, real weather, however, already works exceptionally well, especially for recent updates, and the implications of the system to the driving and racing experience is significant. Not only can the weather be set to evolve in a much more dynamic and unpredictable manner, the range of conditions provided by setting races in different seasons can provide a wide range of evolving track states from session to session, ensuring no setup is always universally good. Tire choices become much more relevant, and the driver might need to adapt his style as the race progresses. Cold environment temperatures, for example, may make keeping tire and brake temperatures in their optimal range harder, and at the same time giving the engine a bit more oomph. A combination that can be far more tricky than the same setup on warmer weather. At the other end of the scale, a very hot summer day may mean the softer tire compound you've been driving all weekend isn't really suitable for the race, and drivers may need to open up the radiator and brake ducts to ensure the cars can make the distance. Okay, so this is real. Obviously, if you've seen the preview video where I went to Spa with the Corvette C8R, the optimal tire temperatures obviously are the same, but when pushing, the tire temperatures ultimately weren't. So during the summer and spring, the tires were, I think in my opinion, right about there, but a little bit overheated. In the fall test, they were right on optimal grip. It was great. And then in the winter, you could feel that they were colder and you were sliding a little bit more. So it's absolutely amazing. This on top of the live track, which features rubber on the side and different states of grip levels. It's going to make driving these cars in racing conditions hyper dynamic. Okay, moving forward. Naturally, users who might prefer to rely on more stable conditions and less setup fiddling can stick to running their sessions as far as they have so far, using specific weather with the default date for the track, which are usually set to a summer day in the chosen location. Okay, I plan on setting up a guide for general wet weather setups moving forward. How those are how those are required in AMS2, I haven't explored yet, but that's something that's on my radar. Let's see here. Along with real weather, users will now be able to configure live track presets for each session. You can set the track to start wet, damp, and any range of dry states, ranging from a green track to a heavily rubbered one. That's pretty cool. If running real weather, the presets will be influenced by the weather in the preceding hours of the day and hour the session is starting. Say that you set your race to start at 1400 hours local time on a given location at a time that the weather was clear, but following a morning of heavy rain. Appropriately, the track will still be wet at the time you choose for the start of the race. That is actually pretty cool. And he just writes here, pretty cool, isn't it? Yes, I will answer that question right now. Yes. One final relevant note here is that real weather with accurate track presets will not yet be available in multiplayer as of version 1.2. This should happen in time for the next update. Okay, follow up with that. Great. All right, moving forward, making beautiful dynamics beautiful. All right, those pictures are great. This is an example of some of the weather, the seasonal changes, and you can see the snow on the track. It's just really cool when you're driving along. I was distracted half the time I was driving the other day. With the ever-expanding set of locations, regional climates, eras, different landscapes, and vegetation, as well as weather conditions, Automobilista 2 is a massively challenging project from an artistic POV. Fortunately, it is made viable by a truly exceptional, versatile, and optimized graphic engine and a team of artists that simply don't grasp the meaning of good enough. Led by our man Ilya, the team has continued to go above and beyond the Call of Duty, simultaneously producing new tracks at the exceptional rate our plans demand, and continuing to raise the artistic standards and updating older content as they go. Sometimes the developers that are behind the scenes never get credit. Ilya, high five to you, man. This is great stuff. It's amazing. Many of these efforts have come to head in version 1.2. Various lighting and HDR adjustments go a long way to delivering more realistic representations of various climates and better integrate cars into environments. We have also made some initial progress on shadow cascading, leading to much improved shadows, especially at longer distances, and various texture improvements going a long way in capturing the wear and tear of real racetracks. The results are truly sights to behold. Come rain or sunshine, night or day, whether revving it up through the hills of Virginia in the fall, navigating the Ardennes forest in the bitter winter, enjoying a typical foggy British morning in spring, or kicking up dust in the arid lands of Monterey, California in the summer. I'll be in Monterey, California all summer. The stunning and detailed visuals will place you there, producing a range of different atmospheres with an unprecedented level of realism in a race sim. And that is an exclamation point at the end of that sentence. It should be, at least. Look at these photos, guys. Okay, wow. There's the corkscrew. Awesome. Cars have also received a lot of love with various fixes, material updates, and a whole set of new driver outfits ranging from the 60s to the 90s, all the way to modern drivers. Dirt buildup glitches have been fixed, with cars now presenting very realistic levels of dirt accumulation over a session. That's awesome. I love the dirt on the cars as the races progressed, and then it would erase. That was kind of funny, but yeah, I knew that it was in there. They're going to tweak it, and they're making massive strides to do that. That's awesome for immersion, especially on when watching the replays. Please note that while all tracks will feature some level of foliage customization per season, the more in-depth artwork so far has been concentrated on the premium tracks. Okay, that's good to know. Other locations will receive similar treatment in future updates to the extent they are needed. Obviously, far less foliage variation seen on Brazilian tracks, for example, where we basically only have 2 seasons. Rainy hot for 8 months and mild chilly dry for 4. Oh my god, that's funny. Physics development. Okay, here we go. All of the awesome developments above would naturally be worth little in a racing sim, if driving experience wasn't up to par. Thankfully, version 1.2 also packs another substantial physics revamp across the board, following recent discoveries made on the physics engine, and feedback from beta testers so far seem to bear out their significance. Okay, so I think in the Q&A that we went over last week, and a lot of my other videos, I've mentioned how complicated the physics engine can be, especially with madness, and coming to terms with that and implementing the changes and what changes to make and where. Monumental task, and the fact that they've made huge strides gives me a lot of hope. And with the feeling of the cars, they are definitely on the right direction, and I'm not even sure if there's that much left room to go, but you know, perfectionists will always seek perfection, and I'm on board. Alright, continuing. Physics development has obviously been constant since initial release, and especially in recent months, in a process that may have appeared never-ending and a bit confusing for users. As physics for certain cars have changed substantially from month to month, I think I know this more than anybody else. My emotional health is basically guided by physics updates and resets for setups. Okay, continuing on. Despite our best efforts towards concentrating these physics revisions and reaching a stable state ASAP, the reality is that as much as we may plan, expect, and hope it to hit certain milestone within a given time frame, sometimes there's no speeding up a learning curve. It takes time to get a grasp on a new physics engine, learning its peculiarities and getting the best out of it. Even after well over a decade working on the ISI P-motor engine, we were still learning new things about it and how to model our understanding of vehicle dynamics, itself a constant learning curve in it. While some of that work and learning has carried over into AMS2, the new and highly sophisticated tire and driveline models in the Madness engine presented its own challenges. While we don't expect this will be the last step in that learning curve, it never is for anyone who is serious about developing a racing simulator. We believe the physics have reached a state of maturity with version 1.2 that are truly representative and which will allow things to evolve at a much more gradual pace from now on. Great. AI evolution. This is for all those AI guys out there. Tons of conversations about AI. What's coming, Renato? What's coming? An extensive calibration pass to even out the playing field. Okay, followed all the physics developments and recent updates, along with an expanding range of driver personalities, should result in higher quality, more consistent challenges from AI in single-player races. That's good to know. I know they're constantly working on AI. I think there's been sort of a lull in AI development, so I don't think that anyone should assume that they've stopped. In fact, knowing the perfectionist that Renato and his team are, I'm sure they're coming out. They're developing some major things. This driver personality thing to start, but you know, if they can tune these classes individually, it's going to be amazing. The complete package is going to be there, and I would expect nothing less than the quality of AI that you guys from AMS1 have expected at the end of the day. So we're getting there. Okay. Audio, I say we. Oh my gosh, I'm terrible. Audio, hear that progress. Just as important as the visuals and physics is the sonic experience, and version 1.2 version 1.2 packs some great improvements in that area too, with Domagoj, Lovrich, and SHR modding truly beginning to flex the muscles of the FMOD engine. Further shout outs to both of these guys. The audio on the Porsche RSR gave everybody chills, guys. Keep it up. The main development on the audio front is the new Surface sound model, delivering more realistic and informative tire sound effects, which are very useful in giving better audio cues to the driver as to what the car is doing when wheels are about to lock up or at the beginning to slide. As important as the improved feedback is, the fact that new system is much better optimized, lessening chances of CPU bottlenecks that could create problems and even cause reliability issues in multiplayer sessions. And this is the thing that wasn't expressed in my preview, which is actually right here. We'll get to that in a second. The in-car sounds are amazing now, guys. It's really something to behold. It's the audio of the cars themselves is only half the story. Okay, moving on. The cars themselves are also more alive with new ignition cutoff developments, boosting grunty limiter and traction control sounds. This is confirmed by me. When you hit the limiter, you can hear it. Some of the most significant progress in audio design is particularly evident in the new content, which can be nicely heard on this preview of 1.2 by... that was very nice of you to mention me, Renato. I appreciate it. And I think as far as this video is concerned, if you watch the first, 15 seconds, you're good to go. But there's plenty of other stuff to listen to when you're going through it as well. I tried to limit as much as I could, as much as I spoke, as much as possible. That was kind of the point. Those were attuned with the GTE. The GTE class will pick up some creative licensing with the sounds of the Porsche RSR, still featuring the glorious straight exhaust sounds from the previous generation model. Unfortunately, the COVID situation hasn't really presented us with an opportunity to record the latest model yet, but those who hear the car in-game hopefully will agree this is a very acceptable placeholder, more than acceptable. The first time I listened to that car in replay mode before when I was creating this the video, it blew me away, and there's a reason why I let off with it. It is amazing. Championships, create your own. AMS2 v1.2 also marks the introduction of another highly anticipated feature, as users will now be able to create their own championship seasons, choose the classes, select the tracks, customize the dates with the option for real weather. Don't forget historical or current. All you classic F1 guys out there, pick a scoring system and get on with the racing. So here's some screenshots of the new custom championship model. This is amazing. Look, they're leading off with Daytona. They've got Bathurst. You could choose any of these car classes. This is amazing. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to get into this. When combined with the range of content and options in AMS2, this is a truly powerful tool that will bring a whole new dimension to AMS2 single-player racing. In testing this feature internally, I'm having a hard time stopping myself from just going one more round. Somehow, all the tracks I chose on my customized championship season seem appealing to me. That makes sense. You can always put all your favorite tracks in there, and it will only get better as Dave Stevenson, who did an exceptional job putting this together in game for a UI and game structure not designed to support it, continues to polish it further. The feature, while fully functional, will still be considered beta as of 1.2, with plans to expand options further and improve the UI presentation in subsequent updates. High five to you, Dave. I'm looking forward to this. Keep up the good work, man. Important notes going into V1.2. Here are some more important considerations to take into account as you prepare for the release of AMS2 V1.2 and the Racin USA pack. Settings reset. Okay, here we go. We strongly recommend users delete the contents of their documents, Automobilista 2 save game, tuning setups, as some old settings may cause game breaking issues with the latest physics developments. Beware also that existing championship seasons will also be invalidated with the championship mode updates. Okay, so I'm deleting all of my setups. We're starting from scratch, gentlemen. Disk space. Users are advised to ensure that they have 10 to 15 gigabytes worth of disk space in their AMS2 install to accommodate the addition of seasonal foliage sets for all tracks. Okay. Time trial. While a more thorough evaluation will be made following release to verify its necessity, it's almost certain that a new and hopefully definite reset to existing time trial leaderboards may be required, as the physics and live track updates will render times set with some cars as of 1.1.4.5 unattainable and older setups obsolete. This I am on the opinion that it's going to be the latter. There's going to need a reset. I drove some of the I was QCing some of my builds, and they were certainly slower, especially with the engine compression. So at the end of like a long straightaway, there was a significant decrease in top speed. But moving forward, performance. The latest developments should generally result in improved shadow quality overall, but also some side effects and a minor performance hit under the same settings. Generally, settings have been bumped to quality levels, so if you were previously running shadows on Ultra and experience a performance hit with 1.2, consider switching to high settings, as it should still provide improvements relative to 1145 Ultra. Same if you were running high and switching to medium in 115 and a medium to low. Okay, that's good to know. There's going to be a performance hit for these things, so just make sure that you set your in-game computer or your gaming computer to match these recommendations. The reason why, if he mentioned it, it's important if you want to keep your visual components within your the parameters of your computer's capabilities. Let's go into the DLC purchase options, and I'm sure we have to be wrapping this up soon. Yeah, we are. Users interested in picking up the Racin USA Part 1 pack will have several options to pick from, with one of them hopefully fitting their purchases so far and plans for acquiring further DLC in the future. Essentially, there will be 4 ways of acquiring the contents of the pack. Buying the Racin USA Part 1 as a standalone, self-explanatory. Buying Part 1 separately from any other DLC or expansion available or released by AMS2. You can buy the Racin USA full expansion pack. This pack includes Part 1 along with Parts 2 and 3 to be released later in 2020. You can buy the 2020 to 2022 Season Pass. If you buy this or already have it, you're all set in terms of AMS2 DLCs all the way to the end of 2022. Buying the Premium Expansion Packs. This will be a new option targeted for those who bought the Premium Track Pack, essentially expanding that purchase into a full 2020-2022 Season Pass. I know I've seen some people complaining about this. A lot of flexibility here, guys. Okay, so DLC tracks to be available for all in multiplayer, as I mentioned in my previous video. Living up to a promise made a few months ago, all DLC tracks will be, as of V1.2, available for all users in multiplayer session, whether they own the track or not. The DLC cars, in turn, will remain available exclusively for owners, although you can still race against them as opponents if the race is set to allow a class which content you do own. So as far as the GTEs are concerned, if you don't own the DLC, you cannot drive the GTEs. You probably won't be able to create a multiplayer session either. So creating the session is fine. You can, if a multiplayer lobby host creates Laguna Seca and sets it to some original content, you will be able to drive on that track. Okay, although all the developments mentioned previously on this update also contribute to boosting multiplayer racing directly or indirectly, there will be more multiplayer-centric features incoming in next few months to help increase multiplayer action around AMS2. Much needed multiplayer is a huge component to sim racing nowadays. It's become so popular. People do want to compare themselves against other real-life racers. AI sometimes just doesn't scratch that itch. And then finally, the Facebook Q&A. As proposed in last month's dev update, I've recently conducted a Q&A session through the AMS2 Facebook page, and it's filled with many questions and replies other users may find of relevance. The full transcript of the Q&A will be posted here on the forum shortly. And as I glance to the bottom right of my desktop, I can see that this is a wrap for the month of May. And so it is also for the development update. We continue to work hard for this weekend's update and then straight on for the next milestones at the end of June. There's no stopping when you're having fun. We'll catch up again then. Okay, so as far as the Facebook Q&A is concerned, I did a full breakdown on my channel. Feel free to step back and watch that after this, if you have the time, of course. That's it. The dev updates are my favorite parts of the month, really, and this one was massive. There's so much you can learn from these posts, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Now, to announce the winner of the Racin USA DLC giveaway. The winner's name is, drumroll please, Scorpion2. Scorpion, congratulations. Please DM me in Discord when you get the chance, and I certainly hope your Road Atlanta dreams come true. Moving forward, I am as eager for the update's full release come Friday as you are. Once everything is finalized, I'll be doing deep dives into the cars and releasing custom builds for all of them, including the Caddy and the new M4. If I can get you a preview of the Caddy and M4, I will. I have been testing my previous builds and the things seem to be on a positive note. Some builds will be ready to go, others may need some minor tweaks, but I'll be working through the custom default builds first and making notes on the description if minor changes are needed, or if in the worst case a full rework is required. Camaro GT4, I'm looking at you. Until then, thanks for watching everyone, and take care.